Welcome. In this video, I want to talk about one of my favorite algorithms, a graph algorithm called Ford-Fulkerson. And this algorithm is also known as the min-cut max flow algorithm. So when is this algorithm useful? This algorithm is useful for finding bottlenecks in a network. So for example, if you have a road network and you wanted to figure out where is the bottleneck, where are all the cars getting stuck or congested, and what is the maximum amount of flow of cars that can happen from one point to another given the graph. So this can be the case for water flow, for example, how much water can flow through the pipes. Or this could be the case for um, how much electricity can flow through a grid, and or how many flights can come through to an airport given the flight routes. So there's a lot of different graph problems that can happen where you are trying to figure out the maximum flow you can get, and you're trying to figure out the critical uh, pathways or the bottlenecks that are going to prevent you and where you want to make the upgrades. So, for example, if you were trying to figure out that there's a road network and you want to increase, there's a lot of people trying to travel from point A to point B, and people keep getting stuck up and the travel time is too long. So, where should you build the new roads, or which points do you need to connect? So let's take a look at how this algorithm works. And so the first thing we're going to start with is a graph, and a graph consists of nodes. So we have a bunch of nodes, and then we are going to label one of these nodes as a starting node and one of these nodes as our ending or destination node, right? Because we are trying to get from point A to point B and trying to figure out what is the maximum flow. So, and where the bottlenecks are. So now what we're going to do is in the graph, we are going to have directed edges, which represent how much flow can happen from node to node. So let's say a flow of 3 can happen from this one to this one, a flow of 5 can happen from this one to this one, a flow of 7 can happen here, maybe a flow of 2 can happen here, maybe a flow of 4 can happen here. And so we're just going to draw some directed edges that represent the various flows that can get us to the destination, and put some values on these guys. All right, so now we have a value on each of our edges. Now I've drawn the graph this way. I've not listed any backwards edges just to keep the graph simple. But a road network may be both ways, but still you have the road going towards your destination and the road coming back. And the weights on either side may be different, but you don't really care about the weights on the edges coming backwards towards your starting point in this kind of a problem, because you're not really going to travel backwards on the road. You're going to travel towards your destination. So, all right. Now, if it was something like water pipes and things where things can go backwards, maybe the weight itself is going to be the difference. So that depends on your graph and the actual scenario that you have. But now, given this graph, how do we find out where the bottleneck is and what is the maximum amount of flow that can happen to the destination? Well, there's a really simple way called the min cut. So how do we define a min cut? Well, it has to go through. It has to separate this graph into two pieces. One piece should have the starting side, and the other should have the ending side. Let's take a look at what I mean. So if I was to draw a line through this, and you can see this line separates part of the graph where on one side you have the starting and on the other side you have the ending. And so we basically can split the graph like this. And you're not allowed to go back over a line. So you're not allowed to do something like, I'll go like this or anything. So this is illegal, right? So that cannot happen. And that's how a min cut looks like. And what is the value of that min cut? Well, it's the sum of all the edges, the weights it crosses. So in this case, it'll be 7, 4, and 6. So that will be 17. So now we're going to start drawing all the min cuts and seeing what the sums of all of those min cuts are. So this is a 5. This here is 4, 6, and 3, so that's 13. This here is 7, 5, 4, and 6, so that's 22. This here is 7, 4, 3, and 2, so that's 16. This here is 2, 4, 3, and 2, so that's 11. Okay. This one here is 7, 5, and 2, so that is 15. Sorry, 14. Okay. Did I miss anything? We got through this. We got through this one, this one, this one, that one, this one here. All right, and so we continue with this one. That is 11. We get this one here. That is 10. We got this one here. That is 4, 5, 18, and 9. All right. And finally, we got this one here, which is 8 and 9. So that makes for 17. All right. So I believe this is all of our cuts between this particular starting point and ending point. So now that we have all our cuts, we can see that the smallest cut here is the 5. Do you agree? Do you see any cut smaller than the 5? I don't think there's any other cut that is smaller than the 5, though I think I missed this particular cut here, which is 12. Okay. All right. So now that we know that the smallest cut is 5, what it means is that the maximum amount of flow that can happen between this starting point and this ending point is 5. Because once you start, 3 units can go upwards and 2 can go sideways. And all of that will flow forward because there's enough room going forward. So all of your congestion on this particular graph will happen right at the beginning on the edges, the 3 and the 2. So if you were trying to improve this particular network and increase the flow, you would want to increase the weight of one of these 2 edges here. So let's say you increase and you say that we're going to update this particular weight from 2 to, let's say you made it, and improve this particular road and made it 7, let's say. And so if you increase the capacity of that and make it 7 from 2, you can do an upgrade. All of the min cuts that pass through this will get upgraded by 5 points. So this will go up to 10, and this one will go up to from 14 plus 5, so this one will be 19. This one will be no, what are you doing? Sorry about that. I don't know what I just did. Now it's drawing instead of helping me move. Okay. All right. Well, so you get the idea. That you can then increase that value and then recalculate just the edges that go through that one, and you will then take the next smallest critical path, and that's how you can keep calculating your min cut max flow. So I think you got the idea. That's the algorithm. We will maybe cover the programming of this algorithm in another video, but I'm sure now that you understand the algorithm, you can also find the programming on Wikipedia or in other sources.